Jamaica back on top of the world in men's sprinting as Oblique Seville copped gold in the men's 100 meters. Kishane Thompson completing a historic 1-2 for Jamaica in the men's 100 meters. On the women's side, Tina Clayton making that transition from the junior level. The former under-20 world champion is now a world championship silver medalist. All this to discuss on the Sports Club podcast powered by Jane Bank here at the Jamaica Observer. It starts right now. Welcome back to the Sports Club podcast, powered by Jane Bank here at the Jamaica Observer. My name is Donald Oliver, and wow, what a Sunday. What a blessed Sunday. And here with me to discuss all the happenings on this Golden Sunday, Leighton Levy.
Wow. That's all I can say.
Wow.
I mean, we've waited 9 years for our men to get back on the podium. The last medal, 2016, Usain Bolt. Now, we're back with not just one, but two. And just to blow a little smoke, I picked it.
And also here with me is Trishana McGowan. Trishana,
yes.
Wow, what a time to be alive.
Don't it?
Yeah.
I think, Leighton said it best. We have waited since the departure of the great Usain Bolt and include Asafa Powell, Johan Blake when he was at his best. We have had our success and we have not forgotten, which is why we were yearning for this moment, and here we are in fantastic style. 1-2, Aquinella. I mean, we knew it was possible, and I'm happy that both men were able to go out there, not just physically execute, but the mental fortitude, because when you're at that line in a final, it's not just about the physical aspect of it, and they delivered.
All right, Daniel Blake is also here, usually a little bit, on the, should I say pessimistic side? Practical side, kind of, yeah? But he's all smiles today. Daniel.
Yes, he is.
Oh, God.
God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. It's a really great day, and I think it should feel like a relief to all Jamaicans, especially because a lot of them felt men's sprinting was dead. We heard that conversation actually back in Tokyo in 2021. So the mere fact that we now have the two best sprinters in the world and we have Tina Clayton on the other side, I mean, our hearts should be filled and we should be just fine for the next 10 years.
And I thought that today, the Prime Minister, I thought today, I'm still hoping since it's very early, it's only, 10 o'clock? I was hoping that the Prime Minister would say we have a national holiday tomorrow. Why not? A big thing go on.
Yeah, it's a little bit
You
of
remember
a
that?
stretch,
The thing that I'm very pleased about is the now seamless transition from the iconic career of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce to Tina Clayton today. 10.76 puts her in the pantheon of the Jamaican women who have gone under 10.8.
Yeah.
Elaine Thompson Hera, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Merlene Ottey, Veronica Campbell-Brown. All of those names are great names.
Yeah.
Tina Clayton has now joined those ranks. And I'm sure her sister Tia, who must be kicking herself now because, she is there as well. Based on what we've been hearing, she's been training really well. And many people believe that she was going to be faster than her sister this year. So to see the twins now step into that breach that is now being vacated by Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who gave a very gracious farewell message to the media after she raced to the and finished sixth, is you couldn't get a more seamless transition than that.
Well, we're going to talk more about that in a little while, but first we're going to join our man on location, Andre Lowe, in Tokyo, who would have witnessed all the happenings, all the good news for Jamaica. I wanted to firstly describe the atmosphere inside the stadium following that 1-2 by Jamaica in the men's 100-meter final.
Yeah, Donald, good day to yourself, good day to everybody in the studio. I mean, where do I start? That was really one of the most exciting races I've seen in a very long time. There was a lot in the build-up, right? Kishane Thompson has had an amazing season running 9.7s. Oblique Seville, amazing season. But of course, for him, let's be honest, we have seen this before, and he had not been able to deliver on the biggest of stages. And there's Noah Lyles. Late start to his season, but again, let's be honest, we know Noah Lyles knows how to turn up, right? He knows how to win. He's a serial winner. And of course, people like Kenny and the others who were there, it was shaped up to be a very, very exciting contest. And I think you could feel the tension, you could feel the anticipation throughout the entire stadium, right? I do believe that a lot of, or the majority of the neutrals, the majority of Japanese spectators here wanted to see a Jamaican victory. Japanese love Jamaica already. And I think when that actually happened, when the 1-2 was delivered, there was an explosion of celebration, right? And it was really something special to witness. It's clear that these three, actually, including Noah, these three are going to push themselves, push each other for, the foreseeable future. They are the face of BL Sprinting right now, and it's very exciting to see what that rivalry is going to produce in terms of their personal development and in terms of just the competition going forward. So yeah, really an exciting contest, an exciting race, and of course we also saw Tina getting that silver medal, in what was a pretty emotional goodbye for Shelly and Fraser-Pryce. I think she was really moved by the reception that she received from the spectators, and disappointment for Shericka, of course. I know she will be devastated, but all in all, a pretty successful day for Jamaica.
Yeah, I know Usain Bolt was actually watching that race inside the stadium. I'm sure he must have been relieved that the Jamaican was back on the podium as well for that gold medal.
Yeah, you could see the tension on Usain's face, right? This is his first time actually witnessing or experiencing a major championship as a fan. And he said in a press conference some time ago that he thinks it's going to be more nerve-wracking for him just watching, compared to when he was actually performing on the track, right? We got a few shots of him in the stadium, in the suite, watching the race, and it's almost like he was running the race himself, wheeling on Oblique and willing on Kishane, and I'm pretty sure, having spoken to him as well ahead of the game, that he was really hoping for and anticipating a Jamaican victory. To be fair to him, and again, we have had conversations in the build-up to the to the World Championships, that he always felt that Kishane and Oblique would deliver a 1-2, and it's just amazing to see it. Very special too that he was here to witness it, right? And it was not lost on Oblique in the press conference following the final, just what it means or it meant to be the first Jamaican man to win gold at this level, since Usain did so in 2016.
Of course, minutes before, Tina Clayton would have copped the silver medal for Jamaica, having done a personal best in the final. What a proud moment it would be, or it is, for her and her mother, who was there as well. Just a fine moment for Jamaica.
Yeah, no, that was really a special, performance from Tina Clayton, and we're getting used to it now. Back-to-back titles at the World Under-20 Championships. Came to the national championships, very early in her career. Still, she managed to win that against a very impressive field. And now, in her first senior global championship, she delivers a silver medal. She knows how to turn up. She knows how to deliver when it really matters. And she has that very special ability to dig deep and produce her best, on the biggest of stages. And I think this is not the last we're going to see of Tina Clayton at this level. After the event, at the press conference, she made it clear, listen, I am not comfortable, I'm not satisfied. I do understand that the more I win, the more successful I get, the more people are going to want to get the better of me, the more is going to be expected of me. And I am determined to do all the work necessary to ensure that I can remain successful. So she certainly has her head in the right place. And I think that it's really impressive to see that transition, from under-20 success, from champ success, and in a few years she's now a World Championship silver medalist. And special too that her mom was actually in the stand. So a really lovely night through and through. it's kind of a passing of the baton too, because Shelly-Ann and Fraser-Pryce, after all these years, she was in the race and witnessed Tina Clayton secure a podium spot. Tina Clayton, who has said over and over and over again that Shelly is her idol, Shelly is her favorite athlete. So, really a storybook ending, I would say, and a storybook beginning for Tina Clayton.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. I know that you have a lot of work to do, so we'll check up with you in a little while. Wow. I mean, 1-2 for Jamaica Leighton. I'm not sure how many people would have predicted that. And Oblique Seville, oh yeah, that would have been that would have been you.
Yeah, remember
Oh,
we have been
goodness me.
saying that it's possible,
Yeah.
And I particularly didn't care about the order.
The order, right.
I really didn't. But even in my prediction, I had one, just to be certain and not discrediting the rest of the field because they're really good competitors. But based on how our men have been this season, I thought that we were very much capable of getting those 2 medals.
How did you view that race? Because I guess if you want to put it into context, I thought that Oblique Seville would have turned the corner, so to speak, in the semis because he looked so comfortable from the outside lane. And then we're like, okay, he's here, he's shown up. What were you thinking heading into that final?
Well, look, Oblique Seville has looked really good in semifinals before and not delivered in the final. Last year in Paris, he had picked up an injury mid-race and then it cost him, but he still ran 991. Tells you what kind of form he was in. But this year, after the issue in the first round where he sat in the blocks and then finished in 993, the mere fact that he sat in the blocks and still ran 993 told you that he was ready to go much faster. The semifinals, very comfortable. And you kind of saw a different level of confidence from Oblique Seville that we even did last year. This year we saw him, he did this thing but it wasn't even that, it was just the body language that you saw where he felt like, okay, this is my moment. And I think in the final, he got the good start that we expected him to get, accelerated where I thought he would, because when Kishane hits his top speed, Oblique is still accelerating. And then, of course, he went on to win comfortably, relatively comfortably, given how close that field was. But I know he might not admit this, but I think that Oblique suffers from some kind of performance anxiety. But I do believe that today's performance would have seen him turn that corner. And from now on, I believe it's going to be even harder to beat.
I think, with competitors, you don't step to the line with doubt. The minute you do that, you're defeating yourself and the work you and your coaches and everyone would have done throughout the season. They've been training since September, October of last year. It's not to walk to that line in doubt. And when you look at Kishane, when you look at Oblique, both youngsters, their disposition screamed confidence all year round. He ran a couple 200 meters this year. And that's when I knew he's capable of getting onto the podium once he was able to work through the mental barriers, whatever it is, that would have hindered him before. And I thought that sometimes you need a perfect moment.
Yeah.
And he had that. You just need to get it right once and get it right once for the perfect moment. And the final is really the ultimate. What you do before doesn't count. And that's just the reality of sports. And I thought both of them were able to get it right and hit that podium. And we could not ask for nothing more.
There are a couple of indicators this year that you knew Oblique was going to run really fast. There's a 47 that he ran at the National Stadium early in the season.
I think at the Camperdown
Classic, I think it was. Yes. And then 19, was it a 19.9?
Yeah. I think it was JC, the all-comers.
Yeah,
by the
where
J3s.
you saw the convergence of speed and speed endurance, which most elite sprinters have been able to master. And when you saw him beat Nolas in Lausanne in the driving rain on a wet track and running 987, and you saw him beat Nolas in London comfortably, where Nolas was not able to gain on him both times, you knew all the pieces of his race, all the phases of his race were coming together at the right time. And we saw that's what we saw today, because that 977 is actually a little slower than I thought he would have run.
Yeah.
I was thinking probably 9.72. But
Again, the variables,
Yeah,
which is
but
why,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, in a finals, you never know the time that's gonna be at the line once you go over, because the rounds are on the legs and the pressure within itself, and that's something. We sit and we get to cheer, but the pressure of 55,000 plus or less, whatever it is, inside that stadium, a nation resting on your shoulders for you to deliver, it's not easy. And like I said, I don't think we were doubtful that both men are capable of getting on the podium, because we know that we know of their physicality, we know of their speed.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's putting everything together to get over that line and do what we know that they're capable of doing.
Daniel, you were a staunch defender yesterday of an incident that took place where Noah Lyles came in front of the cameras and spoke about the fact that Oblique Seville was panicking in the call room, and you're saying that shouldn't have occurred. He should have kept it to himself. The others were pretty much debating that, competitors should just man up.
Do your job.
I don't know if you had a little bit of fear in terms of his mental capacity, Oblique Seville. Are you better off, or do you view him now in a better light after he has now won the gold?
Yeah, and in somewhat you could say that it worked out to his advantage that it happened so early, because usually what has happened, or what we think has happened over the last few years, is it happens in the opposite. So the heat semis, he looks great, he's confident, and then when he gets to that final, he sort of freezes, even though he still runs pretty quickly. But I think now, when that happened, something triggered. So now he was saying, oh, all right, now people think that I am this. So somewhat the pressure is off, even though the pressure is never off. But I think he now realized that, look, if I did that after sitting in the blocks and, having two men run 9.8 like that, I am in the best shape. So all I need to go out there now is to just go out there and execute well. And I think he did so because he also had the best reaction time in the field. And usually that is something that we give to Kishane Thompson. But I think that's how confident he was, knowing that he was over his issue that happened in the heats. And now he knew that everything that I have shown over the season, I can do it here, and it paid off.
Lee, describe this historic moment for Jamaica in terms of the 1-2. Just put it into context as to what we have witnessed this morning.
Well, in the context of history, I don't think Jamaica's ever done a 1-2
For the men.
in a 100-meter final. We've done it at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I think we've gotten 1-3 with
We got-
Usain and Johan.
And Johan
Right.
Blake
Yes.
in 2012. So this is actually a significant moment in Jamaica's history, especially within the context of the fact that Jamaica had to wait so long between the Usain Bolt era or the end of Bolt's career and now this new beginning for two youngsters, because they're still 24 years old.
Can't believe it's 8 years since he's left.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun or when you're not having fun.
Clearly he was having a lot of fun.
But the reality is, but to the point, I think what it does now, there are two things. There are 2 points of view I have on this. Jamaicans usually believe that Jamaica's track and field does not do well when our men are not doing well. It's a patriarchal thing that disappoints me, because if you look at what has happened since Usain Bolt retired in 2017, Shelly-Ann and Fraser-Pryce won 2 global titles. Kishane Thompson won 2 double Olympic titles. But we always have this thing in the back of our minds that once our men are not doing well, nobody
and
else
you
is
feel
doing
it. The corporate reacts the same way to the sport and worldwide. You not to say they're discrediting any of our women, but the buzz, the hype of what sports carries whenever our men are not doing well.
So
it takes us.
So now that Oblique Seville has broken through, and Jamaica has another perennial medal contender, Kishane Thompson, and with somebody like a Brian Lavelle on the horizon, if he remains a Jamaican for much longer, you're looking at
Wait, what?
No, I mean, but everybody has heard the arguments that Turkey has approached him, and as well as Ashanti Moore as well to make that transition. I don't know what athletes make. So what we're seeing now is the emergence of another cast of sprinters that has put Jamaica back on the forefront of track and field. Because Noah Lyles is 28 years old. Kenny Berggrant is I think within that age range as
29,
well.
I think.
So what we're seeing now is Jamaica taking back the lead
Yeah.
in terms of global sprinting,
And the
men's
transition,
sprinting,
the
and
transition is very
now
important.
between the Usain
Yeah.
Bolt era 8 years later. The transition is now complete.
Yeah. Because when you look at the male sprinting, for example, we're talking about age, and may his soul rest in peace, our friend Hubert Lawrence. We don't oftentimes disagree, but he and I had that one disagreement. When Dion Jackson Miller once asked us if we do believe that there will be stars coming through behind the Usain Bolt, Asafa, etc. And I said to her, there will be stars, but I don't think they're matriculating fast enough to keep up with the world. For the women, it's okay. For the men, it's not. And it wasn't something, of course, it's nothing bad. I'm just saying, when you look at the transition phases and look at the age group of those, whether hitting the final and the semifinals, and those who would have even competed in the heats. So for me, when you look at that assessment, next year is a quote unquote off year because it's a Commonwealth year. No, Noah at 28, Kenny at mid-20s, late 20s. We have two youngsters. You then have Shericka hit in the finals, 31. Shelly, 38, saying goodbye. Tia coming through nicely. So is Crystal slowly.
And then
looks
you have
promising.
people like Brianna Liston as well.
And you have Brianna Liston, and we can go on and on. So the women for us are looking well. Akeem is also very young. He got to the semifinals, of course, another disappointment, I'm sure, for him. Hitting the 60 meters mark first, but not being able to finish. He too, I think he's 23 or 24 years old. Yeah. And you can look at that. That's how you start to project. Injuries will come into play and other factors. But I think that for both our men and women, we're looking pretty solid at the moment.
And Daniel, you agree that it's really a bright future on the men's side, because it was just a couple years ago that we're speaking doom and gloom. Yeah.
But I wasn't one of them, because I think if you understand the sports, you will know that there will always be peaks, there will be off years, but more often than not, there will be a bounce back. And I think when you looked at the age of our sprinters at the time, even back in Tokyo 21, Oregon 2022, we saw Oblique improving, we saw Akeem Blake improving, and now we're in a stage where now Kishane Thompson has gotten over his injury issues and is now regarded as, a top 2 sprinter in the world. You even look further down the line with, Ryan Ford coming up, and Brian Lavelle, who, unfortunately wasn't able to make the 100-meter team. But we now have maybe 4 to 5 who will consistently compete against each other on a regular basis. And we, as you know, our champs program is still very good. So I think it's just a matter of patience. It does
something that
patience and Jamaica.
Jamaicans don't have.
Yeah, because even
here.
when you think about somebody like Nkrumah, who ran sub 10 at champs, and already people are like, where's Nkrumah? And that's the same thing they did with Oblique, the same thing they did with Chris Taylor. And people just need to understand that
it takes
things don't you don't just snap your finger and happen.
And
like
we
that.
sit here and you say that, and we all agree. And you say, throughout this transit, them still gonna say, them there, them are good, look how much people left. But we love now.
The thing about it is, and to Daniel's point, there are a lot of people in this country, and this is based on conversations that I've had with regular Jamaicans in the supermarket where I am sometimes, that they will ask you about a high school athlete who just left high school. Right? I mean, the ink on their graduation certificates are not even properly dried, and they're saying to you, "So them can win, or them?" And I'm like, "No,
Win what?
That's not how it works."
Yeah, that's not how it
remember
works.
the same thing with Tia and Tina. Since
Yeah.
they left and went to the MVP track club, and you hear, them burn out too quick at adrenaline. Me and say, it's a process, Stephen you have to build the foundation.
Probably even have to deconstruct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to break them down
To build them
and
back
build them
up.
up on a professional level. It does not happen overnight.
Yeah, because people think that because you're fast in high school, you're going to be fast as a senior. It doesn't work that way. You remember Usain Bolt?
Yeah.
People
you remember
were,
when he ran with that chain in his mouth?
Yeah,
Remember when he
in
started at
Athens.
World Juniors? Which year was it? You better with the dates than I. And he had the chain in his mouth. You know, remember?
Yeah.
Nice again. And you see him turn the corner, so He crossed the line and got a silver, and then beat him through the chain in his mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been
That was
2000
Osaka. That was Osaka,
2007.
See?
Yeah.
But you remember, that boy got to the final in Helsinki in 2005 and picked up an injury
Yeah.
coming off the curve. And that was when Justin Gatlin said he recognized Bull's talent, right? And a lot of Jamaicans cussed him out for getting injured in a world championship final
Can you imagine?
when he was what?
He
I
was,
don't think-
he was
I
about 19 or 20.
19 or
Yeah.
20. So I said, we have this thing
Even younger.
where we believe that you just step out of high school and then step to become pro and then step to the podium. There's no process, there's no waiting period. And I think it's time, because we have such a strong tradition in the sprint especially, that I think more of us need to start to understand that the process takes time.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled. We're
And
a spoiled
sometimes-
nation.
Sometimes it happens quickly.
Yeah.
Like Shelly, for example, was 2 years out of high school when she won her first Olympic gold medal. But it doesn't always happen that way. That's more the anomaly.
Yeah.
Because it's Shelly-Ann Thompson, for example, it took her a
Took
few
her
years.
a few years. And that's when Stephen Francis said he knew Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was extremely special. That 2-year turnaround,
Yes.
the projection.
Yeah, she left Woolman's in 2006.
Yeah, 6 and
2008, she was Olympic champion.
yeah.
2009, she was
Because
world champion.
2007, she was in Osaka on that 4x100
As an alternate on the relay team.
Yeah.
So this is where it is now, where I was actually said it on here this morning, that it's almost like the perfect bookend. She came in as a relay, a member of Jamaica's relay team to win a medal in Osaka, and she's most likely will end her career as a member of Jamaica's relay team in Tokyo.
Well, let's talk about the women for a little bit, and Tina Clayton in particular, Daniel, because again, we speak about the transition of athletes and how they perform at the junior level vis-a-vis the years leading up to the senior level. Of course, she would have been under 20 world champion on a couple of occasions, Tina Clayton. So everybody was bracing for that transition. Whether it was easy or not is obviously up for debate. But to come clutch in the final with a PB, that was a massive performance.
Yeah, and especially when you think that she beat one of the two overwhelming favorites in Julian Alfred. She was a little slow out of the blocks because I think she had a 0.2 reaction time or something like that. But she had accelerated so well and managed to end on a high, in my opinion. If I know this is very cliche to say, but if it was 110 meters, then she might have had the goal. But I think
No, never gonna happen there. 10-61 winning a ball.
Melissa was gone.
Well, that's
Probably 180.
yeah, but that's
Maybe.
but I think it just shows, again, it goes back to the confidence factor, is that she knew that her preparation was great. And even though she was in a very stacked field, as much as we talk about Jefferson Wooden and Alfred, we can't forget that Shericka Jackson, Sha'Carri Richardson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was in this race, right? And when you think about even last year with her sister and Stephen Francis coming out and saying that maybe he should have kept her off social media because he thought that she panicked knowing that she was a favorite or everything like that. So for her to go into that race thinking, look, I'm not going for third, I'm not going for second, I'm going to try and win. And to get the silver medal in such a stacked field, in probably one of the greatest 100-meter lineups in history, I think that's spectacular.
Yeah, we speak about Tina Clayton and the expectation that was on her shoulder, even from a personal standpoint, because obviously her sister was on her mind. Her mother, of course, watching from in the stands, would have been super proud by her performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And how I equate it, I've been using this example all year. When in 2008, when Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce finished second in the national championship in 10.82, she went on to win the Olympic title in 10.78. I said publicly several times that if you use a similar trajectory, Tina won the national championship in 10.81. And I said she would run between 10.75 and 10.77 in Tokyo. She ran 10.76. I expected it to happen. What the difference is that I mean, we don't know what would have happened otherwise, but Julian Alfred, as we already know, come to know, she had a hamstring issue that caused her not to be at her best.
And she was out for at least 5 weeks.
No, man, she wasn't hurt then.
She was,
She took that time off.
But she was out, though, for 5 weeks.
Yeah, but she didn't run for 5 weeks.
right.
But in the final, she felt that twitch while warming up, and she felt it worse in the final itself.
While she was running the final?
Yeah, which is why she was actually thinking about stopping. But then
she backed off
and then finished third in 10.84. Notwithstanding that, though, my prediction was that it would have been 10-6 or 10-5 for the first two, or 10-5, 10-6, and then Tina 10-7. That's how I saw it. The only difference is that she was a place further up with the 10.76. So what it tells me, and it speaks to both of them, Tia and Tina, is that right now they're on the cusp of doing spectacular things under the guidance of Stephen Francis. Because we all saw Tina thrive during the course of the season before the injuries. So that Tina now goes into the final of a global championships and wins a silver in 10.76, which is what I spoke about at the beginning. The transition, the passing of the baton is now complete because now we have a woman who is in 10-7 shape. Her sister is likely to be in 10-7 shape as well. And then the transition from there, they're only 21 years old. So if you look at the comparisons, by the way, when Shelly won her first Olympic title, she was 21 years old.
Yes.
So you're looking at a situation where in the next 2 to 3 years, we could see the Clayton twins challenging a Melissa Jefferson, challenging a Julian Alfred for medals at global championships, starting as early as LA 2028.
And they are pocket sized as well, so just to fit the narrative. But
yes, they are.
But Trish, I mean, how proud are you of the fact that she's made that transition now to win the silver medal?
I think I'm proud not just as a Jamaican, but knowing the work these athletes have to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to get to. Stephen Francis' favorite term is, if you want to run fast, I know and train hard, you can't work with me. You can leave. And he gets results by you, as well as you doing the work. It's a partnership. And I think we cannot question the work of Coach Stephen Francis and Glenn Mills.
Yeah.
Clearly the athletes have to do their part and get the results. If you're not doing your part, you clearly can't get the results. But I think that when you look at how well she did, her sister there, looking to make up that relay team, it should give us comfort that our track and field is still heading in the right direction. And we should not take that for granted. We punch above our weight as a small nation. Yes, the resources of the clubs is really on them oftentimes. Nevertheless, they're still getting the job done. And I hope that, we can see more of her sister and others to come, because that's very important, not just for the passing of the baton to the Clayton twins, but passing of the baton to other athletes, to the new generation. That's important, because if we're not seeing that, I'm telling you, we can end up in problems.
Daniel Trish just touched on it just now in terms of the coaches and how much credit they should get. Glenn Mills and Stephen Francis in that discussion. I don't know who you would choose as the greatest athletics coach of all time. But I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
I'm going to choose the Will Marion. Buzzer section.
Buzzer section.
But let him answer.
But Daniel, your thoughts on that?
I'm not going to choose it because he's a Wolmerian, but because of the evidence of his work.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for almost 3 decades now. And I think one thing that...
And for the record, who doesn't know that he's a Wolmerian? Which coach are you speaking of?
Oh, that's Stephen Francis.
Okay, proceed.
My apologies. Sir Vincent Stephen Francis. But the fact that he has done it across several events. So he's not just a 100 meters coach. He's not just a 200. He goes into the hurdles. He goes into the field events. He goes. He's everywhere. So
remember, he led Jermaine Mason.
Exactly.
To that high jump silver.
And we see that one of his athletes in Raymond Richards is getting to a stage where he can be more competitive and compete with the best in the world. So it shows me that, and this isn't to discredit any coach out there, because to coach athletes, we know is probably the most difficult thing apart from moving the moon.
Yeah,
What-
but here's the thing, though.
I feel like that's some form of shade on
No,
that.
what-
You feel
thing,
is
though.
a shade?
Not really.
To say.
It's difficult. I mean,
Yeah, it is a
you have to
tough
deal with
job.
personalities. You have to deal with
Of
all kinds of
course.
different things.
Mhm.
Where the only point of demarcation or departure, that I would make, that I think them is the better sprint coach. And it might sound strange to say this,
Mm.
but look at Denver's history. Takes Raymond Stewart straight out of high school into the Olympic final in 1984.
Mhm.
He coached greats like Leroy Reed, who was probably one of the best sprinters
Yes,
of the
he
day.
was. Yeah.
But careers are ruined by injury. He's taken Usain Bolt to the fastest man in history. He's taken Johan Blake to the second fastest man in history.
That still stands.
That's still- yeah.
9.69.
He's taken Jamaica to a 1-2-3 in the Olympic 200-meter final.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yes, Stephen Francis has done remarkable things, but here's where the rub is different. Take Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce to 10.70. Took somebody else to take her to 10.60. Took Kishane Thompson to 10.54, right? So what I'm saying to you is this. Both coaches, I think, are remarkable in what they've done. So I think they're two best coaches in the world.
Mhm.
Outside of probably somebody like John Smith and Lance
Lance
Brahman.
Brahman.
But both men have significant credentials. And my biggest worry is that I don't see, there's not a clear transition plan. Because, look, Glenn Mills is 74 years old.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
A team love walk up and down.
Yeah, the Stephen Francis is not getting any younger. And I know Wild Paul is the younger brother. But Jamaica does need a few more coaches of their ilk to be able to sustain what we've been able to establish, especially these last 2 decades.
I think, and I agree with you. Just the same, whenever I host sporting events, something I always say to coaches in attendance, that the same way you have the passion and you pass down to the athletes and say, yeah, man, you don't see how him do it, you don't see how she do it. I want our coaches to have big dreams and be like the Stephen Francis, the Glenn Mills, the Shaniki Osborne, because she's growing as a woman in that field.
She's doing
right?
some special
The
things.
Maurice Wilsons. And I'm speaking about local coaches,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because we have our athletes train all over the world.
Mhm.
But speaking about our local coaches who have stayed, the Julian Robinsons, the Michael Vassell, because our field coaches are important.
Mhm.
Good thing is Kerry Lee Ricketts is still a relatively young man.
Yeah.
The coach of Shanika Ricketts,
Ricketts,
our
right.
triple jump silver medalist. So, like I said, I agree with both gentlemen regarding the transition cannot be only for our athletes. We have to get to the stage where coaches are not just coaching. Because I think we're not short of that.
Yeah, because the thing about
Me
it,
not think look pam when me say so. Me not think we short of coaches.
no, really.
And the quality, look
The
pam when me say. Quality in a capital letters.
Yeah, man. Because look,
And enough of them not have the quality, but continue.
I think the approach of Glenn Mills and Stephen Francis and Paul Francis as well,
Mhm.
I find is significantly different from other coaches. You see their ability to adapt, their ability to find new ways to produce
Yeah.
results is consistent. You don't get that with other coaches. And this is not to denigrate other coaches. I'm just
Mhm.
saying
No.
that
The consistency
that
that
maybe
they've
they
had.
need to step up
Yeah.
in terms of how they approach coaching.
Mhm.
Because we've seen Stephen Francis take presumably ordinary athletes and
Mm.
transform them into something
It's
special.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
seen Glenn Mills take talent and make them even better than people thought they could ever
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
How many other coaches in the country can boast those kind of credentials? That's the challenge that the rest of the coaches face.
But Leighton, one of the things as well, and Daniel, I think for coaching like you said, it's like moving the moon whenever you're doing coaching. Because it's tough, like you said, managing the personalities. But I also don't think it requires a certain level of patience. It takes reading. It's you doing work outside of just being at the field and coaching. And I don't think, other than Walcott, Coach Walcott, who coached Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce to that same time that Leighton spoke about, that 10-6 and that gold medal in 2021. We
No,
don't
2022.
2022 out of the pandemic. You hardly find a coach that will have that kind of patience. And I'm telling you,
Mhm.
when you watched I Am Bold, or if you didn't, and you can listen to how Glenn spoke about managing the personality of the great Usain Bolt and also even Johan Blake. It's knowing them. While Stephen is do this my way, I will get the results.
Mhm.
But again, it comes back to how many coaches in modern day will have that.
Well, what I'll say is that I think just like the athletes, we need to give the coaches time
Oh
because
yes, absolutely.
one thing that we aren't taking into consideration is that if I'm an athlete, I'm either going to end up at, or I want to end up at MVP or racers
Mhm.
because those coaches are there.
Mhm.
But as we mentioned, there is Ronaldo Walcott, there is O'Keel Stewart, there is a
Shaniki Osborne as well,
Shaniki
yeah.
Osborne. So we do have the coaches there, but they are not going to necessarily get the same talent that MVP or racers get because they still exist. And I think closer and closer, when we get to 5, 10, 15 years down the line, when these young, somewhat inexperienced coaches are able to learn more from the sport, when they're able to get more resources, because a lot of them are working under-resourced,
Yeah.
if we're being
Yeah,
honest.
that's a major
and-
problem.
Yeah, and I think that's even how Stephen Francis started
Yeah.
with the MVP.
And
So
he
I-
had to adapt.
Yeah, so I think we need to give them time, not because their athletes aren't running superb times or doing superb distances, but I do think the more information that they continue to garner, the more their athletes go out there and they learn from those experiences, whether to keep them locally for the year or send them on the circuit or whatever. I think they need time to better their craft as well.
Trish, a word quickly on Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Shericka Jackson. Starting with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce with her running her last 100-meter race, individual race at the World Championship.
First of all, I just want to tell her thanks. As well as thank you isn't enough, but that's all I can tell her. Also, I think her longevity, 18 years, we have all gotten front row seats. Her story is a perfect sports fairy tale, and I'm happy that she got to write it her way. Nobody is able to take away or inject anything that she isn't comfortable with. But for me, it's her professionalism. Listen, I need that woman to write about how to be a professional. Even with making transition, you don't hear the uproar. The media, others, will make an uproar on social media, but she operates so business-like and it's admirable. And to watch her, in that final and even how she handled that semi-final like a real G,
Yes.
I was like, all right, girl, we see you. And then it crossed my mind, like, somebody said to know where they are utilized, so she need to retire. Maybe she doesn't need to rest, I don't know. But again, fine, you want to walk away, mommy. We are really happy that you're doing it your way. Shericka Jackson, I think that, she should applaud herself, because the injuries that she has been able to bounce back from and run herself into 4th position, barely off the podium, you cannot ask for more, because you almost weren't there because of those injuries, physically and working through the mental capacity of getting back. And I felt like she was a winner today, Shericka, despite not having that medal hanging around her neck.
Right.
I thought she was a winner, and this should give her a lot more confidence as she looked to the 200 meters where she can defend her title.
Clayton?
What can I add? I mean, Shelly is the GOAT, as far as I'm concerned. But in addition to the fact of what she's accomplished on the track is just the grace in how she has presented herself to the world and represented Jamaica as well. I mean, I think what she's managed to accomplish is beyond description, actually, and it's why I say she's iconic, because what she been able to accomplish on the track, off the track, bring attention to herself, bring attention to her foundation.
Yeah,
the
bring
things that
attention
she's
to Waterhouse.
Into Waterhouse, the things that she's done globally. She's in so much demand from across the world for her presence to speak to people, to speak to businesses and corporations.
And
the things that she's been able to do.
grace.
She's been an incredible brand ambassador for Jamaica and will continue to be that way for, I think, as long as she lives. I'm sad to see her go, but it was inevitable. But you still try to come to grips with the fact that now another great phase of Jamaica's sporting history has come to a close.
Daniel, at the risk of welling up.
I was up.
you know,
You need us to get any cleaning?
no,
Okay, you're
I
good.
think if there's one athlete that whether you are a boy or girl, man or woman, that you want to emulate is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. The mere fact that, you know, when she was, you know, just got to the MVP track club, she was doing mock interviews because she knew that she would not only be successful, but that she wanted to break through the corporate side as well. And we can see that. So, and not just to encapsulate her whole career, but for a 38-year-old to make the final in such a stacked lineup and to still compete, that is truly unheard of. It would have felt obviously over the moon if she had gotten a medal, but I'm glad, as we all agree, that she was able to end it on her terms and that she got the praise that she so rightly deserved.
All right, we got to move on quickly because we need to talk about the 100-meter hurdles and what took place there with Daniel Williams clocking 12.40 seconds for first in heat 2. How did she look, Clayton?
Very good. Extremely good. Look, she ran 12:31 a few weeks ago, which is a brand new personal best. She looks like she's ready to break through 12:3 right now. She looks confident. Her mechanics looks really solid. And I was very, very impressed with how she executed her heat this morning. Quite comfortable. Notwithstanding what we saw from Masai Russell and others.
Right.
I thought she was among the best from all the athletes this morning.
And Akira Nugent, Trish?
She too, I think, not how she would have wanted, I think, fully.
Akira. Yeah, because she won her heat in 12.54 seconds. Right.
And I think she spoke about it in an interview. The heat, the conditions, we're not there. We're just seeing the performances.
It's hot.
It's really hot. And for athletes, especially the sprinters, it can be a bit hard to deal with. Nevertheless, she got the job done because the sprint hurdles can be really tough. If you're not crossing those barriers, you can't advance. And I thought that the job was done for the heats, and she's now into the semifinals, where she'll, of course, look to even go better.
A word on Amoy Brown, Danielle? She finished third in her heat?
Yes, she got the job done. And, you know, she probably could have gotten faster than the 12.8 if she didn't take that, I believe it was 6th or 7th hurdle. So, you know, I know that we don't have a lot of expectations for her because throughout the season, she's consistently been in that 12.8 range. But on evidence of what she did in the heats, I think that she can be able to get a personal best. I'm not sure about the final, but I think a 12.7 is possible.
We're going to talk about Antonio Watson now because we kind of touched on it yesterday in terms of we haven't really been seeing him, what it would be like for him to go back on the track and run a race. Well, he's not going to make it to the semifinals because, what happened there, Leighton?
I don't think even he knows. Last time we saw him, he ran 44.89, looking quite comfortable. For him to come out and run 46 seconds, he said afterwards that he hit he had a... I'm trying to remember the words that he used. He said something like, life is filled with potholes, and he ran into one this morning or something like that. But clearly...
I'm assuming figuratively.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what
I didn't know there were potholes in Tokyo.
I don't know. So what I'm saying is that I don't think he understands what went wrong this morning. The truth is, since he won the world title in 2023, he hasn't raced much. He's been injured a lot. He's run a handful of races over the last 2 years. And in most of those races, he hasn't looked particularly good. But so when I saw the 44.89 a few weeks ago, you're thinking he's finally rolling into shape. No. So I don't know. It's hard to put a finger on what possibly could have gone wrong. Especially...
He did say that he was unable to walk, I think
about 6 weeks ago. Yeah.
So you know that naturally would have been a major setback.
Yeah.
Still don't know the cause of it though. That's the issue.
That's the issue. Yeah. But in the context of how well the other three gentlemen performed, there are 2 personal bests and 1 season's best. You cannot wonder, because they would have been in camp in Totori and training as well. So there will be indication of how well he was preparing. And based on what we had heard, he was training well into Tory.
Yeah.
So for him to come out today and run 46, it's not even say run 45-1 or something. It's 46 seconds.
I
Yeah,
think-
sorry, Trish. And I think the strange thing about it is it's not like he faded away or anything like that. From the very get-go, he was
At the back
he
of the
was at
field.
the back.
Conservative.
And to hear him talk afterwards, he says it's not a mental thing because he says he has one of the strongest minds out there, and we can't dispute that from what he did in 2023.
Yes, that's true.
As Leighton mentioned, the 44.89 that he did a couple weeks ago, you think that all right, he's progressing. So it was very strange to see, and it's a little disappointing. Obviously, we know that we didn't have high expectations for him. But to go out like that, it was a little bit strange, and maybe we'll hear in the days to come. But it was just a little disappointing to see how that went out.
That was the last thing I expect. Look, he hasn't raced much, as I said before. But if he had run and finished third in a heat and run like a 44.9 or something like that, you would have said, okay, fine, he gave it his best
Which
shot.
is why I am concerned versus, maybe being critical of him going if he knew he was injured.
Right.
Because 44.89 and looked comfortable a couple of weeks ago. Clearly they said everything been going well in training, especially in the camp. For him to show up this morning before the start of the race, stretching to a slight discomfort. I'm not sure if it was a hip or the groin. That's when I got concerned. It was way before the race, because sometimes you pay a little closer attention to see the body language. It's unfortunate. And I hope that, we know that he's capable of being the best. Clearly, he's a reigning champion for the 400 meters.
And he's a 44-1
And he's
guy.
a 44-1 guy, So it's unfortunate, and I hope he will bounce back, whether to do that or the 200 meters, which I know that he really loves.
And we did highlight the other runners would have done PBs or season's best.
Well, Rashid, that season's best. He should have run that time at national championship a few weeks ago. But he inexplicably slowed down. But he ran well today. Said he feels like he's in 43 shape. Delano Kennedy, 44. Bovet McPherson, 44.51, a brand new season's best, and threw up afterwards. But that's understandable. When you run that fast, sometimes your body reacts. And of course, Delano Kennedy, 44.74, which tells me that suddenly we have some decent 400-meter runners again. Whether that reflects in terms of whether you're able to win medals, we have to wait and see. But what I'm optimistic about, I didn't give Jamaica's 4x4 men a chance of a medal.
No, you do.
No, I think they might have a shot.
Well, let's look on the women's side now, because all Jamaicans through to the semis. Shelly-Pryce won her heat. Danielle, how good did she look to you?
Very good. And I think she has looked good throughout the season. And two particular races that gave me a lot of confidence towards her this season was when she lost twice to Paulino. She was able, as we know, Paulino, one of the medal favorites, but she was able to keep up. She didn't panic or anything like that. And she kept in that 49-second range. And I think for her to go out there, look that confident, and I think she will go faster. I thought that she executed the perfect race. She didn't overextend herself. And, I obviously don't see her as one of the top three, because I think that top three is a little further ahead than everyone. But she looked really good.
And who looked really good was Stacey-Ann Williams, who did a PB.
49,
I
59.
mean, physically the girl looked good.
Well,
Much less.
I couldn't say that, obviously, because
No,
I
that's
could
how
get
they
into.
say food
So
on
thank you
the
for saying
Jamaica,
it for
anyhow.
us on behalf of all of us. Yes.
No, I thought Stacey, she has been consistently knocking at the door for that personal best to go sub 50. And I think that she has raced a lot this year. Being a part of the initial Grand Slam track, she has traveled to various Diamond League meets, etc. And she has been competing, and I'm really happy about that. Yes, it's a job, making the money, but in order for the 400 athletes, a lot of times to get sharp and get better, they have to be racing. And I think that 49.56 was incredible, especially when you're being pulled and being pushed. By Salwa. And I think, when I look at Oakley, again, impressive, because Listen, she has been training, running since
Since
last
this-
year, August,
yeah.
because she's a collegiate athlete.
And she's been
And,
competing
and
since
she has
December
been,
last
she has
year.
been competing for so long,
And she
indoor,
ran in the mixed
outdoor.
relays too.
Yeah, and she ran in the mixed relay for Jamaica.
Which
so,
she said she was nervous, which would probably explain the performance.
Mm.
as well. So for me, I think that our women, including Nikisha, I'm just happy that they're into the next round. And for me, the focus is always to get to the final. So for now, a knock at the door, just knocking the rounds off. The ultimate is to get to that final and take it from there.
But Trish, today was just a special day overall for Jamaica.
It was. And let the highlight definitely, of course, the medals.
Mhm.
We can't even, go around that.
Yeah.
Because they're telling us, I want the goal, I'm going to get the goal. I mean, I like when the man them give me the tick, but anyhow. What is wrong with you now? The men delivered.
Oh.
And had they not, we would have been we would have cost them out. The rest of Jamaica would have cost them out. The world would have been disappointed.
Yes.
So for me, to watch Kishane and Oblique step to that line, having the weight of the nation, their own weight, wanting to do well because they've trained for this, and putting it together and getting the job done. I'm happy. Tina Clayton, welcome to the big girl club.
Uh-huh.
You ran a personal best, and you are a world champion, silver medalist. It's no small fluke, and I only hope she can go upward from here. The hurdlers, the 400-meter runners this morning, I thought that everybody did their job, and I could not ask for anything else.
Daniel, final word?
Yeah, it's been a great day. Obviously, the 1-2. Also, I want to highlight Clunis in the hammer throw. Quote unquote robbed of an appearance last year, and even though she won't be in the final, it was good to see that someone who actually qualified for the event compete in an event. But overall, it can't get any better than this. Well, it could if Shericka and Shelly also won titles, but Kishane and Oblique, I think, have given us confidence for the next 5 to 10 years, knowing that we will be able to dominate with all things going well.
Leighton.
Good day. That's
Yeah.
what I can say.
Yeah,
It's a
it
great
was.
day. I mean, what I was pleased with more, even not wrestle more than the medals, because the medals I expected.
Right.
But I was pleased to see the 49s for the girls in the 400s and the 44 for the men in the 400 as well. I think Jamaica's men have struggled with the 400 for a long time. If you look at the gap between when Bert Cameron won in 83 and Antonio Watson won in 2023, Jamaica has not had a man
Winning. I mean,
winning a 400
nothing to
meters.
discredit of Jermaine Gonzalez, who would have
Yeah.
tried.
Right.
Yeah, but there have been others that come along the way and failed away.
Yeah, they have.
Ricardo Chambers as well. But
Ricardo Chambers. Oh.
Not the journalist.
yeah, not the journalist. No, but he's now doing hydroponic farming and everything. Doing
Yeah.
well. The thing about it is that now we're looking at some young talent coming through for the 400, which finally I think we are unlocking the secret of how to run the 400. Because I've always felt that the race model for most Jamaican 400 meter runners, especially the men, was a complete mess.
Get
You
out
can't-
slow and build
You
up.
can't go too slow and build up towards the end. It doesn't work. Never has worked. Never will work. Right? But one of the things that I'm happy about is Shelly-Pryce and Stacey-Ann Williams are coached by Boogie Johnson in Arkansas. And it has worked to their benefit. Shelly-Pryce, first Jamaican woman, only Jamaican woman to run under 49 seconds. And now she looks like she's in shape to do it again. And it looks as if Stacey-Ann Williams could go faster in the rounds to come. And similarly, men. Rashid McDonald, even though Stephen Francis did say that with Big Boy, you really don't know what you're going to get from one day to the next.
Yes.
But he says he feels like he's in shape to run 43. The last time he ran 43 was 10 years ago in 2015. So let's see whether or not he's able to do it again. If he does, I think he's probably contending for a spot on the podium.
Guys, pleasure as always. Another edition of the Sports Club podcast was really very good, and we had something to celebrate about. See, we don't panic around here, do we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. We just win gold medals or silver medals or what have you. But it's been a pleasure being with you again. Remember to like, share, and subscribe as we look ahead to more medals at these World Championships in Tokyo. It's goodbye for now.